it.
Well, you can see that I can even make it look better.
Oh,
Look at it. Can you see that?
yes.
I remember it was in the truck.
At least it won't rain.
Mine in the truck, it won't ring in here.
I can look at this. 2 pages.
I sure have left it in the truck.
The agenda. That's the agenda. That's the agenda. That's all. It's almost to the top. Open that one.
Ready?
Ellen,
Ready? You guys ready?
you ready? 6 o'clock.
Call the meeting of the November Board of Commissioners meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. This time, I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Suley.
Would you join me as we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the blessings of this beautiful day. We thank you so much that you allow us to live and serve in Sampson County. In our hearts, we plan our course, but we pray that you establish our steps. We seek your advice. Let us make decisions based on your wisdom. Please guide us, Lord. We place this meeting in your hands and our hearts and minds also, that you may direct us. In Jesus' name, amen. Would you stand and join me with the pledge? If you haven't noticed, check out our T-shirts we got just before the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Lee. Let's see, at this time, we got a walk-on for the agenda, report from GFL. Everyone in agreement with that?
Yeah, unless that is B under item 1.
Okay, that'll be item 1B, okay. All right, so I'll accept the motion this time to approve the agenda with a walk-on.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. It's all approved, so we'll move off to that. All right, so we'll go to item 1A. Mr. Jackson, you're up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I had Daniel Jones, I think I just informally introduced you. I just want to formally introduce Daniel Jones, the district resident engineer for the Sampson. He's stationed here in Clinton, North Carolina, but his area responsibility is Sampson, Duke County. So a lot of the questions, I'm thankful that Daniel's going to begin to go to these quarterly meetings that I attend. A lot of the questions, not all, but some of the questions you ask me are actually, I'm getting information through Daniel. So I appreciate him supporting me in that role and be able to come to these meetings and answer. So I want to start with my maintenance only review, and then I'll let Daniel talk more about his on the construction side. So we're moving right along with our planned maintenance. There was, I think I told you before, it was 281 shoulder miles that we had planned in shoulders and ditching, and there were 7 pipes. We're 60% complete on our shoulders and ditching. You've probably seen the equipment working in the county. We're almost done with the pipes. We have an expectation to be completed with our pipe replacement. The pipe replacements are ahead of resurfacing projects, and we hope to be done with that by December 1. The shoulder clipping and ditching, we hope to be done somewhere before December 15th. We do, I think we've talked about in the past about we continue to have a 22% vacancy. We're working on it. It's a challenge, but we are still working to fill those positions. We're continuing to go to job fairs. Daniel's been to several job fairs. I've been to several job fairs. I met with the students at the Sampson Community College Heavy Equipment Operations. I met with them last week, or maybe it was week before last, with the students actually on site. And there were some private industry folks plus myself. Really encouraged. I've seen a lot of young people that were really doing a lot of work. I was really, I guess it's heavy equipment operations, trades type work. I was really encouraged to see that, and they're really looking. We got some meetings coming up. We're going to talk to them in a group setting about career, those kind of ideas. So looking really forward to that. Our next resurfacing project, our current one is going to let November 15th, and Daniel will talk more about that coming up sooner. Our next resurfacing contract will come up and will be available for July. I will turn it in December for a July let. And we continue to address our reactive concerns. They're generally priority-based. It's usually not worst first, or it's not the last oldest first. It's usually a priority-based, but we are really working hard on addressing our timely manner. And what I mean is we do have high priority issues, but we won't have an overall timely manner on our response and our actions taken at a time. And that's something that our leadership from Raleigh, our division level in Wilmington, or Castle Hayne, and here in Clinton, that we talk to our unit heads and our supervisors about the timely manner and the level of service. So outside of that, I don't have any other things to report other than any maintenance concerns that y'all may have for me, and then I'll turn it over to Daniel. Lisbon Street is
Does anyone have any
coming.
questions? I think he got hold of you earlier.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't have any myself.
Thank you so much. I'll let Daniel.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm recently, was selected to serve Sampson County, and just wanting y'all to know that I'm here for the citizens of Sampson County. So I'll run through a brief summarization of what we've done on the construction side. Recently, we've completed 5 bridge contracts. One on Minnie Hall Road, one on Carroll Store Road, Rufus Wells Road, Timothy Road, and Beeman's Woods Road. Proposed bridge replacements that we have coming up is Wrights Bridge Road, the bridge on Wrights Bridge Road, bridge on US 701 over to Black River, Bridge 188, that's over to Bradshaw Road. The resurfacing and pavement preservation that we have completed, we've completed 78 miles within Sampson County of resurfacing and pavement preservation contracts. Forthcoming, we've got around 40 miles that are planned, and then we've got an additional 2 contracts let next calendar year that will make up for the additional mileage, moving forward. A couple of things that I wanted to mention about the always stops. There are some additional warning features that are going to be implemented in the always stops that are on primary routes. So we've got additional signage that's in the works, and we've also with some alerting lights, like the red flashing lights that will be coming as well. So that's all I have. I do appreciate the opportunity. If y'all got any questions for me, I'll be happy to take them.
Got a time frame on the always?
Unfortunately, I do not, but I do know that it's in the works.
Okay, I just know that we've been very blessed on our end of the county, that we've been blessed with all these 4-way stops except for a couple of things in your area, but some of them, we're getting a lot of good comments on, and some are just not successful because people are just not recognizing what's there until they're already in it.
That's right.
And
what you're talking about doing should help very much for
Sir.
what we're trying to accomplish. We appreciate it.
Yep, thank y'all.
Daniel, do you have statistics on the improvements with these 4-way stops?
So I don't have it in front of me. That is one thing that I wish I had brought, but it reduces crashes upwards of 70% at these intersections. So that is a proven statistic. I do not have the actual number with me.
And if I'm correct, there were no fatal accidents after those were put in. Is that correct?
I'm not going to speak exactly to that, but yeah, it does reduce. It reduces crashes by up to 70% or more.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone else have a question?
Yes, do you have any of those 4-way stops going into like Harold and Ivanhoe
Ma'am.
on those roads down there?
The 2 that I know that are funded that have not been implemented is one on Dunn Road and at Autryville Road, and then Mini Hall Road and Dunn Road. Those are the two that I know that are outstanding that have not been implemented.
That's a no.
So that's no for Harold's and Avenue.
But,
much.
but I'll be happy to take those intersections
Okay.
back to our officials
Okay.
and look into them. Yes,
Get
ma'am.
them to you.
One thing that I do understand that the pot for DOT has increased over the last few years. I remember not very long ago, it was only about 2 billion, but now it's like $8 billion. Is that correct?
What's that?
The pots of money for road construction and maintenance.
Yeah, I'm not, I guess I'm still in a transition period and understanding all those pots of money. So, I can't really speak really knowledgeably about that.
Okay,
You know,
well, I'll
right.
let you bring it the next time. How about that?
There we go.
All
Yes, sir.
right. All right,
There
thank you
has
very
been-
much.
There has been increase, but it's we're feeling the effects of those increases also as far as, material costs, labor costs, you know, we're feeling, and so we actually had a meeting today, with down in Casahane, the conversations are, you know, we almost don't, our estimates are almost, in 3 months' time, they're out of date, you know, so.
Yeah, I think one number I heard that, for example, 24 of the last 6 miles, that has doubled in the last 3 years, the cost of that.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're experiencing that in a lot of areas, but I'm sure you are too. Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
All right, so item 1B, at this time, we'll call on GFL, Ms. Celine Hoboy to come in, please. Good evening.
Chairman, if I could speak a word while they're coming up.
Absolutely.
Over the last several months, we have had a number of people that have made comments and expressed concerns about activities in and around the landfill. Some of those activities, they're calling our attention to things that require a lot of scientific knowledge that I just do not have, as well as most of our people. And at the request of several of you, we have reached out to GFL and encouraged them to work with us to help us get information and be responsive so that we could hopefully create a constructive dialogue with people that have concerns and any concerns that are out there that we can resolve. And with that, I'm pleased with this report that's going to be presented, because they've taken a nice, good first step to help us with information. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to them.
Thank you, Mr. Causey, Mr. Chairman, Board. For those who don't know me, I'm Brian Worcester. I'm the Area Director for GFL. I work Carolinas, Tennessee, and Virginia. I'm here with Celine Hoboy. She's our Vice President of Safety and Compliance. We're here to give you a brief update on some of the initiatives we're trying to roll out to help with transparency and communication with the community.
Thank you, and thank you for having us this evening and allowing us to speak on behalf of GFL. Again, my name is Celine Hoboy. I'm the Vice President for Environmental Health, Safety, and Compliance for GFL for Solids Division for U.S. and Canada operations. You know, as Mr. Causey stated, this was really an effort to try to provide additional information about the landfill as questions have arisen, and so to also continue to provide information to the community about the landfill. So any activities that we're doing in and around Sampson County, we're going to be posting on there. If there are emergency situations, for example, there's hurricanes and times when maybe the landfill needs to be shut down, we're going to start putting that type of information on there as well. We're putting information about different things we're doing within the community to help the community, as well as talking about things that are emergent issues in and around landfill type issues. So there's 3 pages right now on the site, but we hope to grow and expand them. One of the pages that we're looking to add to that will be information about our permits and what we can and can't accept and things like that, so that people understand what we're doing there at the landfill. So we wanted to come to present that information this evening, see if there's any questions. We also welcome the opportunity for you to review this first go-around and provide us feedback so that we can improve upon the website as well. We actually brought some copies of the general information letter for the corporate overview. I understand that was already distributed to you all, so happy to leave them in the back in case anybody from the public would like to have that information. On there, you will also see a QR code that sends you directly to our website that we've developed specifically for Sampson County landfill. So we hope that we'll have opportunities to come back and present additional information in the future and continue the dialogue with the county and with the citizens that we serve here in Sampson County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board?
Yes, so when will you start this new information?
It's already live today, sir.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, we'll move on to the action items. We'll go to 2A. Mr. Turlington, Mr. Ross, would you please come up?
Good afternoon. I think the first item is the bid award for task order 4 and 8, water main extensions. This is the ongoing funding projects associated with the SCIF fund for the water system improvements. We have various roads on this one for we're calling it task order 4 and 8. We had a bid opening back in September. At that point, we received fewer than 3 bids, so we re-advertised for bids and then opened again September 28th. At that point, we had 5 bids, so we're well over the 3 we needed, and it helped us get better numbers. And you can see on the recommendation letter that I provided in the bid tabulation, the numbers that we received from the 5 different individual firms. And as part of that, we always sort of include alternates for helping the prices be more competitive, whether we see fit that it helps the schedule to switch materials or switch materials saves cost. So those are all listed there too for your reference. But the award that we are going to have tonight is for Herring Rivenbark. They were the apparent low responsible bidder. We're going to award them on the base bid price. That's not taking into account any of the alternates. And that base bid price is $2,012,197. So are there any questions? Otherwise, I recommend to the board to award the contract to Herring Rivenbark.
Any questions from the board this time? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you very much.
All right.
We need a
And yeah, we're going to get a motion. The thing I'd like to point out again is this is not taxpayer money. This is coming from our water department and the funds that they have received. So I want to point that out. So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make such a motion for the bid.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
All right. The next item is the lead and copper service line. So there's a resolution for y'all to pass for the lead and copper rule. This was something that EPA is starting to drill down on. And it's basically they want all water systems in the U.S. to go and do an asset inventory of all the lead and copper service lines, whether it be on the residential side or on the public water side of their systems, and be able to understand where that lead is in their water system. So in order to meet those regulations, there is funding available, and that is what this resolution is for a funding application to be submitted to NCDEQ underneath their state revolving fund. So when this project, what it will entail is just getting the information and putting it on a GIS software database for the county to have and use as needed, so they'll know where all that copper and lead is in their system. So I think there's a resolution in front of you, and at this point, I recommend the county to make a motion to adopt the resolution, unless there's any questions.
Any questions from the board? I move we adopt the resolution authorizing the county to seek funding for the lead and copper service line inventory assessment project through the North Carolina DEQ State Revolving Fund. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Johnson. This ought to be painless.
I'm sure. Good evening. General Statute 105-286 requires every county to reappraise all real property at least once every 8 years. Sampson County's last reappraisal was in 2019, with the next one scheduled for 2027. In 2017, DOR published new reappraisal standards and encouraged all counties to follow them. In the new standards, its annual sales ratio falls below 90%. Counties are advised to advance their reappraisal cycle. Also, the new standards suggest that all counties move to a 4-year reappraisal cycle. In May of '22, we were notified by North Carolina Department of Revenue that our sales ratio had fell below the 90% threshold, and we were advised to advance our reappraisal. The board later passed a resolution advancing the scheduled 2027 reappraisal to 2024 and adopting a 4-year cycle thereafter. And ultimately, we entered into a contract with Pearson's Appraisal Service to conduct a desktop review for 2024. This evening, I have with me Emmett Curl. He's a retired Wake County tax administrator working for Pearson Appraisal, and he's our contract project manager for this contract. So he's going to come up and share a few slides with you and go through the processes, what's going on and about the reappraisal process.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Get this thing to work.
Thank you all for allowing me to come and address this board. I do appreciate it. Revaluation strikes fear, and every citizen's thing in my career is what I've experienced, but it shouldn't be. It's an equalization process, and that's all it is. I'm going to start with, it just updates the assessed values to a more representation of what the property would sell for. And we're looking purely statistically what the median, in other words, if we say our level of assessment is 98%, that means half the properties in the county are below that, and half the properties in the county are above that. But statistically, that's, and we try to keep that difference very, what I refer to as very tight, not let it go wild. Let's see, it's not a budget-driven process. Please understand that. And Jim mentioned that it is required, the county does it. I think there were 23 counties that had to advance their schedule this year because their level of assessment had dropped so low. There's been a few of them that in just a few years, their overall values have doubled. You didn't experience that here, but there's some number that will experience that in January. It reestablishes and equalizes the tax burden between properties. It's like all of us went out to dinner, some had a bowl of soup, and some had filet mignons and lobster. And what it does is it fixes it so the ones that had the bowl of soup pay the least and the one that had the lobster pays the most. That's what the values are doing. A lot of our values, it's not practical to try to match the tax values with a continuous fluctuating market. That's why we do it on intervals. Typically it was 8, now it's being recommended to go to 4, and that's been in works since early 2000. Each property owner is paying taxes according to the value of their property. And one thing I'd like to mention, the more affordable properties are the ones that have increased the most in this reappraisal. It's a statutory process that's, it dates back to the 1900s. when they found that citizens would pay property tax a lot more willingly if it was equally distributed. So it's distributing and equalizing the value. That's all we're doing. We're not raising, I've never seen a reappraisal raise the first penny in property taxes. That takes a tax rate. Revaluation methods used. We rely very heavily on what properties are selling for. Both land, building, anything that's not personal property, business equipment, mobile homes, single wides that are not affixed to the land are treated and valued annually. So as your public service value, like utility value, it's valued annually. Cost approach is used where you don't have good information on the market. Income approach is used a lot on rental property and a lot on commercial property. Capitalizing market rents after expenses are taken out. What citizens need to know, the owner in Sampson County will receive a notice of your new value. All property owners should review that notice, and a lot of changes have been made. I cannot emphasize, go over the information that makes up your record. It won't take long, it's online. Your tax office is a very good source of information online to go through that. Utilize it. We have no reason to want the properties to be higher than what they should. So we're going to make sure those values are as equitable as we can make them. You can appeal to we'll take first cut and make sure we've got the errors fixed, things as correct as we can make them. You can then appeal to your Board of Equalization Review. It's either you will sit as the board or you will appoint a special board. That'll be done in February. If a property owner does not agree with the Board of Equalization and Review, he or she can appeal to the Property Tax Commission. And if the commission does not rule the way you think it should, it can go into the Court of Appeals and then the North Carolina State Supreme Court. Questions? I've put a lot of it, and Mr. Johnson is going to close it out. So if you have questions, but like I said, one thing to remember, go through your information, make sure it's correct. Bring it to our attention. We don't mind. We have the resources to fix whatever needs to be fixed, and we can do it quickly. Also, remember the lower end properties went up way more than the higher end properties. And I've seen that not just here, but I've seen it across the state. And I've seen some areas, unless you get in the resort areas, and then those properties went higher than the lower end properties. But that's in lakes and mountains and resorts. Any other questions?
And when you said the lower end went up, what was the main driver in that? It's just-
Affordability, a place to live versus what people were paying in rents. I've been in the business a long time, and I've seen advances in rents in some of the urban areas that I never thought I would see. People are paying $2.50, $3 a square foot to rent an apartment in a lot of places, and that's more than I can afford. And rents here have gone up. Not to that extent, but they have gone up. So
We've been insulated from it for a long time because we had basically a neutral rate for 14 years. And even though we had a reval back in 19, it was neutral.
Right.
And so we're feeling the effects of COVID plus this hyperinflation that we were hearing about, but we're starting to experience it just like all the other states and counties across this state.
I'm seeing properties that I worked in one jurisdiction that in 2018, when I left, I thought the values were high enough. I went back in 2022 and the values doubled from 2018. And that was just based on what properties were earning rental income.
And again, we were required because the Department of Revenue required this.
You're one of 23 that got a notice that said your level had dropped, and it had, folks.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
Any questions?
Mr. Johnson will close
Okay,
it.
all right.
Statutorily, what we have to do, prior to January 1st of the year, there to be applied, the schedule of values has got to be adopted. So they've been delivered to you this afternoon, and we would like to schedule a public hearing, and we propose a date of Monday, November the 20th at 6 PM for the scheduled public hearing,
Okay.
and that would be at the Administration Building.
Check your calendars if you would, please. The 20th. It's 2 weeks away. At 6 PM.
Yes, sir, if that works.
Does that work for the board? Yep, these two over here.
I'm good.
All right. That's what we'll do. We need to vote on this.
Wouldn't hurt.
All right. I'll take a motion.
I move that we set the date for the public hearing for November 20th at 6 PM.
All right. All in favor, raise your hand. All right. Mr. Cause, is, any other questions? Any,
If you're finished with that, I can mention what we would like to do to take advantage of the November 20th meeting.
okay. Mr. Johnson, are you?
I'm done. I'll just mention that each of you got a copy of the schedules with you tonight.
Is this what you're referring to?
Yes, sir.
Homework.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Yes, sir, Mr. Causey.
One of the subjects that has had a lot of interest by a lot of people is the market study, and we're getting close to the point that we will have that in hand in the very near future. What we would like to do or recommend that the board consider is allow us to take advantage of your November 20th meeting to have a virtual meeting with the market study people to let them make a presentation on how the thing was formulated and to give you a copy. We find, based on the last time that we did that, that works well for you when you get the information to know the process they went through of how they got the information. And then you can ask any questions thereafter. If the board so desires and you are willing to do that, immediately, in addition to that, we'll get the market study and we'll also make sure there is a staff recommendation included with that as to what you may consider to implement that. That will be a lot of information, and we suspect that you would want to spend some time looking at it. And if your calendars permit, depending on the time that you want to get things approved, we would recommend that you then agree to come back the following Monday, which I believe is the 27th, to have the discussion, ask you questions, and potentially be able to approve the market study. Immediately after the market study is presented, we will make that information available to the department heads, whether it be that night after the meeting or first thing the following morning. So we'll have information, you can have your questions. And then you can have your work session on the 27th to consider whatever you may consider, or you may consider you want to pursue it some other way. But at this point in time, we're trying to facilitate what would be convenient for the board and your deliberations and consideration.
Any thoughts or questions about it?
So we're looking for that on the 27th.
20th and then the 27th, come back again. Mr. McLam, you good with that?
Yeah, I think we should be obligated to push this through as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I think that's, if it's there and it's ready, we should come together as a board and push forward and get our part done too.
Agree with that? Okay, do we need a motion to set those dates or just?
I think you're going to recess to reconvene to the 20th at 6 PM at the end of this meeting.
We'll do it then, okay. All right. We'll move on to item 3A, Commissioner Sully, Vice Chair.
At this time, I move that we appoint Dr. LaShondra C. Parker to serve on our library board.
Second.
All in favor? I also move that we reappoint Belinda Best to serve on the library board. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, I'm done.
That's it? All right, the next thing is the consent agenda. Any questions on that? If there are none, I'll take a motion to approve.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agendas.
Have a motion, need a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. The consent agenda is approved. All right, this time we'll go to county manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, I don't really have any additional information to report. I do point out, I don't put my buddy, Rick Sauer on the spot, but we are having an open house on the new building on the 16th, and I think the elected officials are due to come in at 3 o'clock, if I remember correctly. Rick, with everybody else coming at 5, is that what? Any additional comments you'd like to make? Are you good?
That's good. Okay. All right. We'll get to the public comment section. Stephanie, if you would read our policy.
In accordance with the North Carolina General Statutes, a period of time is reserved for comments from the public on topics not included in our agenda. Speakers will be called forward in the order that they registered and should begin by stating their name and address. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes for comments. The light on the lectern will turn yellow with 1 minute remaining and will turn red and chime when the time is up. If the allotted time is not used, remaining time cannot be yielded to another speaker. We ask that when your time is up, you promptly conclude your comments and return to your seat. The public comment section is intended to provide a forum for the board to listen to its citizens, and there should be no expectation that the board will answer any questions raised during this time. A full copy of these policies and procedures is available at the registration table as well as on our website.
Thank you. And at this time, I'll read the public comment statement. The duly adopted rules of procedure and conduct for the meetings of Sampson County Board of Commissioners sets the standards of decorum for its members, our staff, and for those in attendance. In these rules, we pledge to the citizens of Sampson County our respect, and we ask our citizens to likewise conduct themselves in a respectful, courteous manner, both with board members and fellow citizens. Receiving input from our citizens is an integral part of our meeting and critical for the board's ability to make sound, prudent decisions that are responsive to the needs of our communities. Offered with civility, such input is very much appreciated by this board. However, per our adopted policy, commenters shall not use profanity, shall not engage in slander or impertinent or personal attacks as they offer public comments. Any input which is offered in this form of rude personal criticism of an individual is not only unwarranted and unnecessary, it is simply not helpful in our deliberation. We appreciate your compliance with the standards of decorum. This time, I'll call on Ms. Knowles.
Good evening. Ann Knowles, 618 Horn Run Road, Clinton. My reason for speaking to you today is to invite you to the Veterans Affairs that we have our program, Veterans Program, on. This time it's not on the 11th, the first time in many years, because Star Telephone has the Civic Center. So on November the 12th at 2 o'clock, I invite each of you and all of our audience to come and celebrate Veterans Day with us. It's a day that we recognize veterans, we honor veterans. We do it every day, but we especially do it on November the 11th or this year 12th. So come, have a program with us, and we will give you refreshments afterwards. Look forward to seeing all of you. And y'all too.
Thank you, Ms. Knowles. I think you can see that we support them, and we appreciate our T-shirts. And I will actually offer a welcome that afternoon as well.
These T-shirts say a lot. If you read the back of it, it says a lot.
I agree. Thank you. All right, at this time, Glenn Faison.
Good evening. Glenn Faisons, 71610 Wausau Road, Turkey, North Carolina. Board of Commissioners, honored to be before you tonight. I thank you, Promise I won't take up no more than about 180 seconds of your time. I come tonight, my sister, how many of you, Elaine Hunt, does that name ring a bell? If it don't ring a bell, you haven't been paying attention. Elaine Hunt has come diligently before you almost a year. We grew up in Turkey. Can the people that came with me tonight just stand briefly? We grew up in Turkey, and I'm of age. I've been in Turkey all my life. My water situation has been the same all my life. My sister's been coming. She brings samples of water of what we need to do. And I understand how this thing works, and I understand your job is very hard. Every month, I sit up there in the same section for another reason. But I understand decisions are hard. But I would ask you to go the extra mile. Quit saying it's impossible and saying it's probable. My life's work has been about leveling the playing field. Everything I've done in my professional life, people said you're not gonna do it. It's not gonna work, but I've proven them wrong. I've gone up with corporations and whatnot. So my point is, I know funding is hard to get, but I know it's not impossible. I spoke to my good friend, Dr. William Barber, today. Some of you may know who he is. He's a face, and you got to get their attention. Now, if I'm bringing more people here, I'll pack the place out. I'm a missionary Baptist from Turkey. We'll pack it out. My church will come pack it out. But I don't think that would be what it would take. I think it would take someone collectively on this board deciding you want to fight for us. I know at public comments, you come, you sit, you smile, the people come speak, you thank us for coming, and you go on about your business. When I go home, I would love to be able to turn on my faucet and get a cold glass of water. I haven't been able to do that in about 30, 40 years. Everybody on my road can't afford to buy water. So can you imagine that? So tonight, again, as my sister has come over and over again, we come to appeal to step it up. Maybe you as the board, not your staff, you as the board should seek people in Raleigh, seek people in D.C., because it's 2023, and it's a shame that I've been in Turkey all my life, and every time I turn on the faucet, my water is the same as it's always been. Wouldn't you agree? I know you can't answer questions, but you can nod your head. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Faison. My mother's family is from Turkey, so she grew up in Turkey. I have a well. All right, we appreciate your comments. Mr. Mons, Anthony Mons.
Good evening. How y'all doing? All right. My name is Anthony Mons, 6248 Archer Mill Road, Godwin, North Carolina. I'm a combat war veteran of the United States Marine Corps. I wasn't just there, I was on the front line fighting. So I thank you veterans for what you all have done. My reason for being here this evening is for, I've been staying in Godwin, Sampson County part of Godwin, for approximately 17 years. And over the last 3 years, I've been having issues with my neighbor playing loud music. And any veteran who's been in combat, who's been bombed, understand where I'm coming from. And so I've got the police involved. I know there's a county ordinance, so my purpose for coming before you this evening is to submit to you that prayerfully you all will not only take notice of your ordinance that you have, maybe it needs to be revised, because one of the things I keep hearing from the county sheriff's deputies when they come out is that they can't do anything. So I spoke to the sheriff prior to this evening, and he and I have been conversing with one another. So preferably he can do something, but maybe you all as county commissioners can take a look, because any veteran that knows the bass from the music can set your post-traumatic stress off. And if anybody don't know what post-traumatic stress is, anybody that's been in combat, which I was bummed 4 nights the first night in country, so I know what what that's like. You can't control the thunderstorms that bother me. You can't control the fireworks that bother me. But you can do something about my neighbor in his base. So I ask and solicit you to take a look at your ordinance. If it needs to be revised, please revise it and do something about it, because I don't want to have to be on the news for other reasons. And so I'm asking you to do something. I'm soliciting you to do something. You have the power and the authority to do something. So please do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. All right, that concludes our public comment section. At this time, I'll accept the motion to go in closed session.
Can I say something before we go into closed
Sure,
session?
sure.
Won't take me but just a second, but
Go
it's something that's been on my heart. I mean, you've talked about it a little bit, and I just want to bring it up and I've seen some of it tonight, about some of the paperwork that we've got in our communications to these guys and things that have gone on. I just want to see this board, Mr. Collins's office, and anyone else, we need to address communications better than I think we are. We've talked about it with several. I think that in my business alone, communication is a big thing. If I lose communications, I promise you I'll lose business, and I think that stands to be with everyone. So I want to ask that we look at a little bit stronger communications between the chair and the co-chair and our commissioners and Mr. Causey, to where I feel informed. I've had a situation a couple of times that when someone come up to me, and you guys have been meeting, and that's fine, and I like it. I appreciate you, what you're doing. But when someone comes up and said, well, we saw so-and-so, oh, you already knew that. That bothers me, to be honest. I mean, when someone else has had a meeting with someone and they say, well, you knew that, and I said, okay, and I kind of nod and walk away, and it just takes a little bit of communication and a time that we share with each other. I knew, can we not email with no problem? I know we have to be careful about our quorum and when we form those, but I mean, emails and stuff are traceable and they're seen. I guess that's my rant that I've seen, because I promised my district, District 1, which is in the Godwin area, that I would make sure the communications was up and running to where they were informed. And it makes me feel bad that sometimes I can't inform my own people and I get kind of blindsided. So I'm asking that we create a little bit better information dialogue between us and everyone. I mean, the pay study has come in and we know, but I would love to have known that before I got here, honestly. There's a few other things that I'd love to know that's going on. I just want it to be open and we're all involved, because I think there's some people that sit up here that have a lot of good ideas. And together we can make things work great for this county. And that's what I want to see happen. That's the part that I want to do, and that's what I told people on Miami County I was gonna do. So I'm asking that we support each other, that we open up a line of communication that is up front, and we're all talking, and we just know what's going on. Thank you. I thank you for giving me that time. And now I'll make a motion that we go into closed session.
So second. All in favor? All right.
Oh, did we need?
It's in the thing. Got everything?
It ain't her.
Does it match your shirt?
I move we come out of closed session.
Second?
All in favor, raise your hand. All right, I'll take a motion to recess to reconvene on
November 20th.
November 20th.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second?
All in favor? Motion carries.